All right. Well, welcome in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm going live impromptu because I had something on my heart and mind that I wanted to speak about in terms of where it is that we are presently as a community, as a society, truth versus fiction, suppression versus reality, etc. And I just wanted to get on here and talk real quick about that. All right. Let me come over to my TikTok and record from my other phone. All right, welcome in, welcome. I'm not going to be on here very long. I just wanted to talk about something that was on my heart and mind. I know it's pretty late in the evening, but one of the things that has been happening lately, right, is that there are people who are afraid to speak the truth in terms of this whole debate that's going on nationwide. And I'm seeing a lot of people who are saying a lot of things. Wait a minute. Hold on. So somebody is on here saying that they in a tent. You know, there are so many shelters in the United States. You don't have to be in a tent. And you don't have to be in a tent with your phone. You really don't. You really don't. All right. Anyway, good evening, everybody. Good evening. Part of what sparked this conversation that I'm having tonight, part of what sparked the conversation that I'm having tonight is this. So I'd say maybe a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, there was a young lady by the name of Jess Hilarious who went viral for saying her opinion about a trans person who came out and said that women don't own. Listen, I can't with you. I'm trying to have a serious discussion. Somebody said, sell your phone to buy a meal. Oh, I can't. You know what? You listen. Nonetheless. So she went by. I can't with you all. I can't. I'm trying to have a serious conversation. So she went viral for speaking her opinion. And there were a lot of people who came out and they were attacking her. How do I block people on this app? Because there's some, hold on. I'm trying to hear. All right. That's it. I just learned how to block somebody. Anyway. So she went viral for speaking her truth against a person who says that they're transgender, or I don't know whether they say they're transgender or whatever the case may be. And I can't even get a conversation out over here. Nonetheless, what I have found is that there have been a tremendous divide. And there are a lot of people who are positing as if they are standing on the side of women by standing up for people who have XY chromosomes who are battling women. And you actually unfortunately do great harm to women when you stand on the side of XY chromosome persons who are battling women, erasing women, attempting to erase the protections that have been put in place for women, eroding those protections. And I'm wondering, where are the feminists, the people who stand up for women and women's rights, etc., in this discussion? I was talking to a colleague of mine who creates content online, and I was like, talking about my experience because, you know, I've been speaking up against this, and my videos on TikTok have been taken down. Speaking the truth is now considered quote unquote hate speech. Speaking the biological truth is considered hate speech. So if you want to see those videos, you have to find them on YouTube, because they're not, or even on Instagram, at Tonya TKO, because they're not able to go up on this platform over here. As a matter of fact, most of my views have been truncated on TikTok as a result of speaking my heart and mind. But nonetheless, so I thank you. I can't see the names on here. Let me see. Thank you, Netta. I appreciate that. Hey, Aaliyah and CG, welcome. So nonetheless, so if you want to see those videos, they're on YouTube and Instagram, because they're not conducive to this platform here. My views have been truncated after speaking up on the truth. So now, like, my view, like if you go to my page, you'll see my videos are now, they've gone down from tens of thousands of views to 200 views in a video. And I'm like, okay, but you know what? I choose to speak the truth. I was talking to a colleague of mine who's a content creator, and she was like, I refuse to speak on the trans issue, and she said it's because she depends on creating videos to make money. And she's like, you know what? This is how I make money. I can't afford to talk about this issue, because, you know, they're going to come for your platform if you dare try to. So listen, I get it. I get it. I wanted to title this video, when you know you're right, you don't mind standing alone, right? So this is how I feel. I'm like, if you know with 100% certainty that you're right, I mean, science, oh my gosh. I don't even know. This is just unbelievable. Science already created the definition. Whether or not, you know, for those of you who do watch my videos on YouTube, you know that I have a garden. And in my garden, you know, when you're growing pumpkin, squash, cucumbers, anything that fruits, there's a female flower and a male flower. And these flowers are integral for the, how do I put this? They're integral for the sowing process, for the fruit production process. You need the pollen from the male flower to go into the female flower. I mean, this is just biology. And whether or not that little pumpkin with the flower on it says that it's a male or whatnot, the way in which it fertilizes or can be fertilized is already set by nature. And so so P. Pitt understands. I mean, nature has it already laid out for us. Nature already has it written in the books. So nonetheless, I just wanted to come out and just state that real quick, because I feel like we have entered into a realm of existence where there are a lot of people who are jumping on this quote unquote hot topic, wanting to seem avant-garde and wanting to show how cool and how hip they are. But they're not looking at the writing on the wall. They're not looking at the big picture. They're not looking at where this is heading. They're not looking at the implications. And part of the issue is that we have people saying stuff like women are women, all women are women, and we're all women, and all this and the other. And no, the male brain is different. Male hormones are different. The biological urgings of men is different, and whether or not they dress up in a certain way does not change the brain. There were studies that were done on the transgender brain, where people falsely reported that the transgender brain is different and somehow in between, and that those findings were debunked. That's the thing about science, is that science is constantly attempting to prove itself wrong, because it's only in testing and retesting that you can get to what is closest to truth, right? And so and so that just is the way that it is. And I want to know from you all, how many people out there, especially people of color, have you seen speaking the truth about this? There's so many people who are trying to seem cool and hip that they don't realize that they're on the wrong side of history. Because when all is said and done, when we start blurring those lines, and people are like, oh, trans only make up 1% of the population. Why are you in an uproar? This, that, and the other. This is about male and female. Men make up 50% of the population. Women make up the other 50%. And when we live in a patriarchy and we have people on one side, so we have the men dressed as men who are battling women. Now we have the biological males who are dressed as women, battling women. So it's like we're getting it from XY chromosome persons on both sides. And so Pitt is saying we can respect all people and their views without negating truth. Science speaks truth. Well, you know what? Science speaks, and it's up to the scientific method to disprove what science has come up with. And so a thing in science is only as true as the tests that have been made to disprove it. So yeah, I want to hear some of your comments on all of this. If you're not already, follow me on YouTube. That's my main platform. That's where I create most of my videos. I don't really make many videos on TikTok. I don't like the platform of TikTok. I don't like how there really isn't a method to find justice on TikTok. So I don't really mess too much with it over here. You know, I just be minding my business and making content on YouTube. That's how I feel about this whole topic. It's a shame. You know what I feel is a shame? What I feel is a shame is that we have women who are being bullied by XY chromosome persons and the people who support these XY chromosome persons in the name of whatever. Whether you want to call it the trans movement or trans rights or trans visibility or all of that, what we still have is we have people in a patriarchy who are male-centered, who are now taking the word of men. Nobody would listen. If I said that I was trans white, nobody would believe me. If I said I was trans white, they'd be like, what does that mean? They would not even blur the lines of me saying I'm trans white. And there are more chromosomes that affect gender than there are that affect race. The amount of chromosomes, of DNA information that affects, that determines race is microscopic compared to that determines gender. So you know, Candace Owens, I cannot support her. You know, she's a woman who dances to the beat of her own drum. She's said many problematic things in the past, and she just had Tate up on her platform. So she goes where the money is, what's going to get her views, etc. So I'm not giving too much credence to her. This is the whole thing. This is exactly what it is that I'm talking about. People doing things online for the money of it, for the views of it, or not doing certain things because they're afraid that it's going to affect their money or views. She panders to a conservative base that is not for you. They're not for you. They're actually quite against you, right? Transracial is actually a thing too. When a white family adopts a black child, that is called trans white. I don't know what it is that you're referring to, child. I never heard of that. But what I'm saying is that if I said I'm trans white, people are not going to take it seriously. I don't know about this adoption and how that term was used or is used for that. I don't know, right? But I will say that if a white person said that they knew what it was like to be black, because although they were raised as white, that they have the feeling on the inside and they've always felt black, nobody is going to give them the same protections and the same credence as a black person. We're not going to open up our arms to them. But a person who lived the bulk of their lives and are governed by the hormones, the bone density, the chromosomes, the DNA, the brain of a person who is biologically male, saying that they've always had the feeling that they were a woman, all of a sudden in our patriarchy and male-centeredness, we somehow are like, yeah, okay, well, you must know. No, you will never know what it is to be a woman. You will never know what it is to be a keeper of the womb. You will never know. There's nothing that you can do. And there are people who are saying that I'm anti-trans and all this other stuff. And they're like, I hope your child is trans and all this other stuff. Listen, I have a person in my family who is trans, a young person. And that's part of the reason that when I first came out talking about this, I advocated on the side of trans people and trans identity. But when I listened to women and I looked and saw where this was actually heading, I knew that the most loving thing that I could do is to tell the truth. And whether my child is trans or not, the most loving thing that I could do for that child is to tell that child the truth, that you cannot change your sex. You really can't. And it just leads people into a life of disaster and disappointment when they realize that no matter how many surgeries they have, no matter how many hormones they pump themselves with, they will never be able to have the experience of another sex. They won't. They won't. So yeah, so that's pretty much it right there. That is pretty much it right there. Kiki says, I tell my son this all the time. I'm not really sure what you're saying. I'm not really sure what you tell your son all the time, but the sad part, this is the sad part. And you know what? Listen, I've been doing several videos and my editors are working on several more for me to be able to publish on the Tonya TKO Clips channel. You have to look at the number of people who detransition and regret the mutilation that they've done to their bodies, wanting to go back. Look, there's no going back once you start getting things chopped off. And then from what it is that I hear about the destructiveness of these hormones inside of, oh, it's getting chilly in here, inside of your body once you start taking it, and how you just, you can't go back. You can't go back. Sunny is asking, do you regret losing all that weight? Are you trolling? I'm not really sure what you're talking about. I'm not really sure what you're talking about and how this relates to the live that we have at hand. So transracial means crossing racial boundaries, not trans white. Look, my whole purpose in bringing that up, and so you see, this is the thing. We can have this term transgender as if a person could ever transfer over to another sex. They can't. And I know people will be like, oh, sex and gender are two different things, but you're calling yourself a woman, and the definition of a woman is based on sex. Adult, human, female. That's what a woman is. That's what a woman is. And the crazy part about it is, this is the part that's disheartening. The crazy part about it is that I see a lot of content creators who are people of color who make sense otherwise. But when it comes to this whole trans conversation, they start veering from reality and start getting into some strange form of advocacy that is really anti woman, pro male centeredness. You know, always feeling the need to correct individuals that have a different mindset as an illness as well. I mean, there's many different types of mental illness out there, but the part that's really startling to me is that we are allowing mentally unwell XY chromosome persons who are by nature more violent than their female counterparts. We are unleashing these unwell people hopped up on all types of hormones into women's spaces, into spas. And the crazy part about it is that we have two different things going on at once. On the one hand, we have mentally unwell people being unleashed into women's spaces, and then we have predators who are pretending as if they are trans because there's no test that can prove that a person is really experiencing this mental unwellness. And then people who feed into this delusion and start giving them credence and start giving them legitimacy, so that we have people who don't have to prove anything. They have their phallus intact, going into female spaces, exposing themselves in front of women and children. I You all are fighting in the comments about the word transracial. Please, please. Look, can we move on? These comments are not going to stay here. Once the video is down, it's not going to stay here. Can we move on from that, please? Please. Oh, okay, okay. I'm just checking. I'm just checking because I know how people can get. You know what I mean? I know people can get. I don't know how it is on TikTok, really. I know how it is on the other platforms. So nonetheless, I just wanted to talk about that real quick. Oh, I'm so tired. Oh. Hey, Dipped in Indigo is here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Well, you know what, Dipped, you're non-binary, right? What are your thoughts on this whole trans conversation? Because I I don't want to be offensive to people who have different types of identity. However, I feel that it is my duty to speak the truth on what is in the best interest of the protection of women and children. And this current transgender movement that we have right now is rife for predators to enter. Um, oh, did you request? Hold on. I don't know how to. Let's see. I don't know how to. Can you send a request again? Because I don't know how to I don't know. I believe humans just like to argue over stuff that don't matter what it is. Well, when it comes to this whole changing sex thing and I don't know how to. It says here invite Kitty Cat to go live, but I'm not sure if that is how it's supposed to. My boxes are not up. I don't even know how to do it. Okay, let's see. Well, how do I change those settings once I'm already live? Oh, here we go.
Okay, it did work. Hey, can you hear me?
Hey, I hear you. Your thing is
Yeah.
so small. How do I make it bigger?
Um, there's like a grid thing in the settings. I've done it one time when I've gone live. My followers showed me how to do it, but I honestly don't remember.
Oh, okay.
Let me
Because
see.
you're so tiny. I want you to be bigger.
Yeah, I am.
Oh,
Is that how I look on the way that I see it right now too? Like this little box in the right hand corner?
yeah, it's so tiny. It's like a little tiny thing.
I think it's like go to what's at the bottom there. You know where it says like multi guest and like the share
It-
button and the little three dots and stuff? Do you see the little there's like a way for you to go in there and it's called grid and you got to change it like that.
I just I clicked on this little thing for settings or more,
Okay, it's in
but
the
I don't see anything that says grid. I see interact, lightning QA. That's not it. Then I see the share. I see the enhance,
is it under interact
stickers,
maybe?
music. Mm-mm.
No, because it's like polls and stuff. I don't remember. But anyway, I don't have much anyways. I'm actually about to
Okay.
go to a little thing. But I really wanted to just answer your question really quick because I am non-binary and I do want to speak on it. Let me make sure I did it to where my followers can't see what I'm talking about right now. Hold on. I'll explain that in a minute because I
Oh,
don't show li Okay, good. In my city, I do work in the LGBT community. Like that's how I get paid. And when I tell you my own community, like I'm getting to the point where I want to start a podcast to start to speak because my own community is so toxic. Like it is an echo chamber. I cannot talk. And I'm a part of the community, including being a part of the trans community, technically, right? And I see how rife with toxicity it is. So, like, I'm actually really happy and very like I feel so relieved that you're speaking on it because I'm on the side of like, hey, are y'all not recognizing that this is a part of like women's erasure? Like y'all are actually, and then it's wow because women in my community who are activists are fighting for it. It's like y'all don't even realize y'all are fighting for your own undoing. Like it's so
hmm
confusing to me because it's
hmm
predatory how men are stepping into the space. I'm not trying to say that there are no such thing as like trans women because there absolutely are some people who really do have that mental disorder, but there definitely are people who are taking advantage of it as well. And those
hmm
people are predatory. We live under the patriarchy, and those people are like being man, like you're taking that man mentality, even if you are trans. Like, oh God, there's so many things I can't even really, I feel like I can't even speak on it, but I've seen it myself because again, I'm in this community. So therefore I have trans women people who are in the spaces that I share and I see them even do predatory ass shit and carrying on that same mentality that they have been socialized into. So
hmm
that's all I'm gonna say on it. And a lot of them will tell you it's not like, oh, since you said the non-binary thing, I already know. You know what I'm saying? I know that the dysphoria that I have experienced definitely comes from trauma. It definitely comes from things that I'm healing from. You know what I'm saying? And I can absolutely just say that and be honest about it. Like it's not that bad. You do not have to be ashamed. People don't have to be ashamed of like
hmm
whatever they're going through. Like if we spoke about it more like that, and you know what I'm saying? What's it called when you make something, I forgot what it's called, like normalized it more, that would actually open space for healing. But
mm
people aren't trying to do that because they're not trying to heal. Like it's just it's weird out here, and that's really all I wanted to say. So yes, even though I'm a part of the community, I absolutely agree with what you're saying and what you be dropping. So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, someone wants to know what is it that makes you feel that you're non-binary?
It's crazy because I felt non-binary since before I knew about what the trans community even was. Like I didn't have the lingo, so like this is before I know I look young, but I'm upper in age. We don't gotta talk about it on over. No, actually, it's blessed to be the age I am. I'm 34, and so because of that, like I grew up around before even AOL was out, so I didn't even have internet. So I didn't know like I wasn't around no queer people, no gay people, no lesbians, no none of that. So I had none of these terms, but I was still coming home from school and trying to flatten my chest. I was still coming home from school and I was like going between being masculine and feminine. Both of those energies were in me. And a lot of people have those energies in them. But there are also, know that there's other cultures that do identify people who really exist between those two energies that aren't in Western culture. And I feel like if we weren't colonized and if we didn't go through the things that we went through, because there's still some African cultures that also, or maybe not now, but they did have sort of like this not third gender, but kind of race people for those energies a little bit more than we do in Western society, I would have had a word for it. But I didn't know it then. But I just know that I definitely am like a very balanced energy between masculine and both feminine. That's the
Okay, do
best
you
way I can say it.
when you're filling out one of those forms and they ask if you're a woman or a man, what do you say?
Actually, nowadays the damn forms, because of how fucking I'm sorry. Oops. I gotta drop real quick and bring me back up because I don't want to get your live broke because I said a cuss word. Can I get dropped for? I think TikTok's crazy about that kind of stuff. Will I get in trouble?
I don't even know.
We'll
I
see.
don't
If they
know.
mute
I've
me,
only
I'm
gone live
sorry.
on this platform. This is my third time, so I don't
Oops.
even know.
Well, if it's so, it's on me, TikTok. I'm sorry. But like because of how progressive things are getting and everything like that, now the forums actually have a third one. So I just say the third one.
Really?
I just be
Are
like,
you a
they'll
woman
say,
or are you a man?
right, that's what I'm saying. But on the forums, it'll be like woman, man, and then they have like other, or it'll be like woman, man, and it'll be like non-gendered or something. Like all the forums, especially in my, I would also say that that could be my worldview because I also am so much so like even the work that I do is embedded in LGBT community, right? So it might even be that those forms of that, but I don't know. I went to the doctor the other day, and even on there, it had a little tick you could put on there. So like